Morning. Okay, I got asked to do this video because there is a group of people in this country that are suffering but have a cognitive dissonance as to what they see around them, what they're told, and what they believe. So I want to address all of the Australian Defence Force. Are you a member of the Royal Australian Navy, the Royal Australian Air Force, the Royal Australian Regiments of the Australian Army? Now, I was given this, right? Those people in the military should know that this is a commissioned officer's badge. Commissioned officer gave this to me, told me that he was concerned about the men and women joining the military today because they no longer serve God and they serve the government of the day. And this is a very dangerous thing to be stepping towards, because now it's the Prime Minister's office that dictates to you how you act around the world, the government of the day. You no longer serve God, King and country. You serve the government of the day. And this is important because look at that crown on there. It's a St. Edward's crown. A commissioned officer of the St. Edward's crown came to warn me about what was coming. And we have to address this because there are excess deaths occurring in the military because of some mandate. And there are people dying all across the country that serve the military that have never left Australian soil. They're not dying on battlefields around the world. They're dying in their own homes or on football fields or running tracks because they got poisoned by this government enforced medical procedure in one of the biggest medical experiments that has ever taken place on the planet. There is a cognitive dissonance in your belief system that you serve this country. You don't. You serve foreign interests in the IMF. You serve foreign interests in the RBA. You serve foreign interests with no God. You've lost a connection to the blessing of Almighty God in the Constitution to serve below it under a government, the government of the day. And that government of the day could be an imposter government, an administrator government, an occupier government. And for it to tell you to serve the government of the day is part of the problem. And it's the very reason why this was given to me. You shouldn't be serving the government of the day. You should be serving God, King and country in a line of authority in your constitution, separated from England at the end of World War I, at law. You are serving a foreign king. You are serving foreign interests. You are serving people that created a problem in Israel. You are serving people that created a money pit in Ukraine. You are serving interests that have no interest in the people of your Commonwealth. And this is a stark reality to come to. I want you to look at your Facebook feeds and look at all the people reporting deaths in the service. All of your members were forced, medically procedured, going against international humanitarian law, Rule 92, making it a Hague Convention war crime offence and an offence against the Geneva Conventions. And your commanders are responsible. Your command is responsible, complicit and in common purpose to a war crime, excusing themselves from the Brereton report. Very, very obvious that Angus Campbell excused his command all the way down to the CEO of Ben Robert Smith. Now, we could go into politics and we could go into bossy politics. We could go into an obfuscation of the facts and the truth and a manipulation of the people to support a war crime, including genocide of your Commonwealth of Australia under the blessing of Almighty God in a line of authority in your forefathers, in your Anzac, that this government doesn't operate under. 75 years of peacekeeping means that you serve a peacekeeping force for the United Nations. You don't serve the Commonwealth of Australia. Under the blessing of Almighty God. Matthew 6:24, you can't serve two masters, lest you hate one and love the other. A divided house cannot stand. When we recognise an occupier and being occupied gives us a right of self-determination which you as a military are obligated to uphold. You are obligated to give us that right of self-determination, but instead you use the police to attack everybody that flew the flag of those Anzac, calling them all sovereign citizens. The military have been brainwashed into attacking their own countrymen. The police have been brainwashed into attacking their own countrymen, causing financial burdens on your countrymen, causing manipulation and lockdown control on your countrymen, And you never stopped and said, no, Commander, this is a war crime and we will not participate in your war crimes. But soldiers are uneducated today. They serve the government of the day and just follow orders after a medical experimentation, bringing the Nuremberg directly on the table, bringing a Nuremberg trial directly to this command. They're the ones that caused all of this. They're the ones that poisoned all of you. They're the ones that issued mandates. They're the ones that forced it upon you. And then they're the ones that caused suicides across the country because they took a duty away from a soldier and made him serve the government of the day instead, after a mass poisoning. It's a stark reality to come to. Pauline, Malcolm, I warned you very, very clearly in an email that we aren't going away. We found foundation in the laws of armed conflict to point the finger at what is a war crime. What is a war crime? One of the most heinous crimes that could ever be perpetrated against a population anywhere. Now, if you did get forced a mandated jab and you're sick of it, speak up. If you were forced to quit your job because you didn't want to comply with some sort of medical experiment, speak up. If you're a nurse, a police officer, a Defence Force member that recognises this to be an international humanitarian law offence, speak up. If you got injured, speak up. If you've got deaths around you, speak up louder than you've ever spoken before. This is murder. It is murder. And when you add it all together, Albo has committed an act of genocide from inside the executive branches of that Australian government. And I'm going to say it very, very clearly. A commanding officer brought this to me and pointed out that command and defined all of these things on the record. He pointed out that you should be wary of your commanders, of your Governor-General that speaks the voice instead of the blessing of Almighty God. You should be concerned that your country is being undermined by these very people in command. And it's up to you now. Just following orders was no excuse at law. These are war crimes. And I am telling you, as soldiers, as police officers, and as nurses, don't follow those orders. Speak up. Point out the war crimes to your commanders, to your superiors. Point out the war crimes that are occurring across this country. Just in the last few days, Daniel Andrews came and spoke up about a man taking a Nazi salute inside the Victorian Police Academy. So that man has worked out what came into your country. That man had worked out who let them in the door. That man worked out what they serve, what they are, and what they're doing to your countrymen. Are you countrymen, or are you the servants of a government, the government of a day? And are you going to attack your own countrymen for that government of the day, like you already have? Like you already have? Wake up. The cognitive dissonance needs to be slapped out of your military head to work out who you actually serve. Judges 2:12. You went whoring after the gods around you instead of standing up for your own. You didn't look at the Father in the Constitution. You didn't look at the Father in that King. You didn't look at a Father in your own Defence Force while you serve foreign interests. So let me be very clear here. Start reporting your commanders for the war crimes they are committing today. That's all you have to do. Stand up, speak up, tell them you won't follow orders because they're against the law.